Our guest today is a Canadian poet, fiction writer and teacher. And often in her writing, poetry and fiction merge together to create images that are restful, poignant and startling all at the same time. We are delighted to have on our program Yasmin Ladha. Welcome to the program, Yasmin.
Thank you for having me on your show.
This is interesting that you go beyond types and genres and mix them all together and create something which is absolutely mesmerizing.
Thank you. For me, I'm pretty thick-headed about where poetry goes, where fiction comes, where it's a story, where it's a memoir. So for me, it is really interconnected, and so at times it's difficult to market a book that way. So you have to be very brave, and you also have to be able, you should be deft at the craft, and that comes with more and more practice. I'm still not there yet, definitely, but this, I think, is where my strength lies, and I now want to have all the genres working together without apology, but connecting, how to connect with the reader, that the reader is also on the same wavelength as me. So it's a craft.
So do you find that readers, when they first pick your book, they kind of are not sure where they are headed?
Yes, and that's why my books come through universities. So there are, my books are read at universities. It can be University of Calgary, and I think Spain, Israel. Those are certainly the US. Yes, but I think you just need a bit of prodding, and then they can take over. And I have learned how to, for example, if there are words that I don't want to translate, something that is foreign becomes familiarly foreign. And then also, as I pursue my craft, I begin to learn and how to simplify things. You know, when you are younger, it's like high funda sort of thing. And then as you grow older and sort of get saltier, you know, pare it down, make it crisp. And then if you have a good editor, like I had for Blue Sunflower Startle, then it just comes in all together.
Good prose really is poetic, isn't it?
For me, yes, because I don't like chatty books. And I find many of the books that are written here, like chat. There's no time for reflection. It's always I. And sort of for me, it is, it grates on my nerves. I like poetry sort of settling in. Okay, I don't have to understand it. I don't have to understand a part of prose, but there are connections, subtle connections, which I don't necessarily have to understand, you know.
And who are the poets that you like reading or listening to?
One poet that made an impression on me, and I ordered her book through that Flipkart. Flipkart?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Sujata Bhatt. Yeah, I like her poetry. Fred Waugh, but poetry isn't. Yes, so those are the names I can think of. I like poetry that have connections, not necessarily that I have to understand them, but really that are connected to a desk, to a chair, to human emotion, to sensibility. I guess the era of poetry has left, so sometimes it is, I'm talking about in English, not in other languages, so sometimes to understand, and when you're alone, to go with it, poetry is harder. So I like tangibility. So in this new work that I'm involved in right now, I want to be hands-on, simple, clear, without being simplistic.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if I can manage that, but that is something what I'm tussling with.
Now this Blue Sunflowers Startle, the name itself kind of leaves the person startled. What is the provenance of the title?
Sure. Sunflower is this yellow,
bright
flower on the prairies, a happy flower, right? and an uncomplicated flower. And then if one sees a blue sunflower, you're surprised, curious, certainly startled.
Right.
Okay, so this is the idea at a very basic level. You see a blue sunflower and you are startled. And if I can go a bit further on that, the idea for the book and the title all came from when I was in Jeonju in a tea house.
This is in South Korea.
In South Korea, that's right. And I was reading a book by a Canadian writer, Elizabeth Hay.
Right.
And she writes about the only snow in Havana. That's the title. And it's about, she's just left Canada. It's cold, it's miserable, it's minus 40, snow till here, and you almost want to sort of put your hands inside a hot animal's belly. You're so cold. And she's dying to get out of there. She goes to Havana. 2 days later, right, the narrator sees this woman singing in the bar, yeah? And the singer lifts her arm, and she sees granules of talcum powder in her armpit, and this narrator says, "This is the only snow I will see in Havana." You understand?
Yeah, that's
so
beautiful.
home comes to her. It's a startle, right? And this talcum powder thing. So that's the startle. And then I took this, so the idea is sort of filched from Elizabeth Hay. And then I started thinking about home. I started thinking about how does a person whose second home is elsewhere, how does she love that country? How does she love that country? And with that, I brought in the startle. So instead of having a house, you know, and an angan and all those things, curtains, arms with armrests, vinegar and cornflakes reality. She says, my home will be a lover.
Oh, how
And
beautiful.
the lover is the land, and where I come from, it's prairie land.
Right.
So the lover in this is the prairies, and the lover and her, they come to meet in different places. It's basically trysts. Think Radha Krishna
Right.
in Vrindavan, right? And so those when he turns up, it's that blue sunflower startle.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's
and
the story.
and home and land mean different things to you because you've spent your childhood in Tanzania,
Right.
and then you had to move to Calgary in
Right.
Canada.
Right.
So then of course for work you've gone to South Africa, and now you're in Muscat and all. So is home something that you also keep constantly searching for?
Not searching for.
Right.
Definitely not searching for. I think, especially when things happen to you as a child.
Right.
For example, my father died when I was 7, cancer, and the whole.
And that is so poignantly described in the book.
Yeah, and that's when I already left home. I didn't want, going on the Dakota plane to Nairobi, where the cancer hospital was, from Tanzania, saving money. My grandparents were a wealthy family, but all the money sort of going to the cancer thing. There's 2 children, my mother staring at her hands. So that image I had in mind. And when I left to go to Canada, there was no hankering for home. Neither did I want, it was not like, oh, foreign returned. I was not interested in that either. And the idea actually came from when we were at the airport, in Charles de Gaulle Airport, and this lady falls down the escalator. It's the 70s. Escalators are a new thing. And the narrator, so now the story cooks up here, and the narrator decides, I'm not going to start from scratch. And she is a very different kind of immigrant. The word immigrant to this child still is not there. She knows that she had papers stamped, but she thought, I speak great English. I am not a rat tail refugee with a bowl. Give me. And neither am I going to wash your sheets at the Four Seasons Hotel.
Right.
Okay, so she's a different Zara Hatke se girl, yeah, and then there was this image. This is the image I think that I did see, and that image I sort of unpacked as this tall woman going through the doors, and it's the 70s. She has this braids. They are white. They're not white. They're platinum. So they reminded me of beaver pelts.
Oh.
You know, and she has a pan, bread and coffee, and she just opens her door like that.
With attitude.
Yeah, with attitude. And I thought, that's who I'm going to be. And and that's when she says somewhere in the book there, the main character who's nameless, that I am not going to look for a home of carpets, of that. I am going to be looking at home as a lover.
Right.
And where you have meetings. It's an unusual concept, but really I'm really interested in exploring. I don't want to be the immigrant of gimme, 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 give me education, give me health care. Oh, now my daughter is going to go get married, she's going to go to India, pick up a groom from there, come here. I don't want that immigrant. I want a relationship, a new kind of relationship, and I think of the lover. And she calls this prairie her under the rose. Under the rose is, in the prairies, the wind is swift. It takes away all the topsoil. So there is a blade called the noble blade by an Albertan. And this plow or the blade goes under the roots without disturbing the soil. So the soil stays, so under the rose kind of thing. And also, I'm interested in, I didn't build fence posts. I didn't have the log shanty. Would I have survived in -40? I'm not that immigrant, and I don't want to say that's mine. I don't. The blue passport. It's not only for going through in queues. I'm not the ragtail immigrant. She has a vain, glorious mane of hair, right? So this is another way of saying that this is a new love affair on the prairies.
So now again, was this a conscious decision? Because here was your grandfather in Mwanza who was totally passionate about
Tanzania.
Yeah.
Right.
About the flour mill where he lived. That was home. So was this a conscious decision to not get attached as such to the place, but create a home out of something else?
You know, no, I just knew these are the experiences, like the at the French airport, or what I wanted. And my grandfather is a wonderful man, but who wants to write about a wonderful man, though? A character has to have complexity. So I actually took a Rowand, his name is John Rowand, a Alberta figure, a crass, mean, burly guy, but who could charm a bird off a tree, and sort of mixed them together, and that's how I got the grandfather. I have no loyalty to a place. I worked with these images. There was this tall woman in Paris. That was what I saw. The girl whose father dies. That's what I saw. I knew that I wasn't going to wash sheets. And those sort of things brought in a sense of the sense of redepartures, not home, redepartures. And when you redepart, you never just love on a Saturday night.
That's right.
Yeah? So it's not, I'm not hankering for home, I'm not abandoning home, but it's home in a very different sense.
Somewhere you say home kind of asserts itself in wherever kebabs and coriander chutney is available, that's where home is.
Did I say that?
Yes, you said that in your book.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful phrase from your book.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Gosh. I don't, but that the idea of home that I'm saying,
the metaphor of food, the imagery of
food. Really?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. No, this is a privilege because I'm hearing of my book as I'm also a participant, right? The writer has sort of gone away; her job is done. But this is interesting for me as well. But I think of it as a place of redepartures. I pick up sage from Calgary, maybe wrap them in my underwear. Like again, imagine open them in a place in New Delhi, right? This is the way it
And you
is.
also carry newspapers.
Ah, the newspapers, that's true. People go for food, I carry the Globe, the Globe, and I will read on each little part, people who died, an essay at the back. The most stupidest things that I would sort of chuck at home, I would read on the
And
airplane.
then these are the kind of things that emerge, especially in this book, so beautifully. You talk about little mounds of gentle mounds of jasmine,
Oh.
like gentle children's graves.
That I remember. This is when the death is happening in the family,
Right.
and the grandfather and the grandmother's room. Behind that, there is a shamba, like it's a garden. It's a Swahili word for garden, and there are baby's breaths that grow there. No, jasmines grow there. But what happens is, there was a kind of, I wanted to bring in the element of things that are you cannot explain. So when the grandfather would come into the room, the jasmines would bloom. Okay, I don't know, or this grandfather, for example, when the father was dying, the mills closed. It was very difficult to get the mill going. Nationalization of Tanzania had already started.
Nyerere time, yeah, in the
Nyerere's time.
70s.
That's right. So what happens is, but this man was a patriot. He would send a cattle farmer's son to school,
Right.
but it was all done quietly. So he did things quietly. So once a Gogo from the tribe in Dodoma came and gave him some white powder, and he says, "You put that white powder on, yeah, I think it was in the forehead or somewhere, and things will work out." But he's tempted, he does, and then he doesn't. So all these unexplainable things about what happens in the belly of Africa. And he was one person, his struggle with Africa, and then there was his son. You know, people, men run away with women. What he does, he chooses another mother. He is lost in the rains, and this woman feeding him milk and blood, you know, the cow's blood, revived him, and he's just drawn towards her. And as the book progresses, somehow he's left behind. He's that Asian, the Indian who stays in Africa. This one who was loud, really, really loud. People didn't understand him. He had a few good friends, but this was not his time, right? And then there was the girl, for example, falling in love with an African boy,
Right.
and maybe 2 generations later, intermarriages would have been possible. So I'm kind of, all these possibilities are there, you know.
These are beautiful possibilities that exist in your book and in your other writing. We'll talk about it after a short break.
Sure.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are speaking to the Canadian fiction writer and poet Yasmin Ladha on our program. Yasmin, before going into the break, we were talking about Blue Sunflower, Startle, and there are certain very interesting aspects in this. For example, you have this young narrator, but she's nameless. Was there a reason for that?
I tried to get a name, but I couldn't come with a name. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And I said the brother, the mother, and somehow, sometimes when a story just goes along without a name and it works, I leave it alone. And I'd love to hear from readers if they missed the name, like should she have been called some, and she's actually an amalgamation of many, many countries.
Right.
But these are all sort of sophisticated, it's an artifice. But I just, as organically, I thought, I don't think she needs a name.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
She doesn't need a name.
Yeah, I didn't think it is. So the story worked for me that way. Yeah.
The other interesting thing is how you segue from first person to third person.
Yeah.
It is not just the styles of writing or
Right.
the genres. Even though the voice changes in the same sentence, you have, it's like disparate voices speaking through the same narrator. So here you have the young girl who speaks in third person and suddenly says, mother said, you take care of the younger brother or something.
Right.
So it suddenly goes into first person. Was that a conscious thing, or also something that happened organically for you?
I'm pretty dotty. I thought I wrote it all in the first person.
I can read to you.
Yeah.
I'm reading from your
Sure,
work to you.
sure.
A home harbors secrets. Father has cancer. He's dying. Not a word. Mother tells me to take care of my little brother.
Yeah.
And then it moves on to other things.
Yeah. For me, it's all in the first person. There's no third person. She did that. She did that. No.
And the desperate prayers to the divine. There again,
Yeah.
there is a defiance, a bit of anger. Is that what you are like in life?
No, I leave the gods alone. I leave all the gods alone. I think they're up there in their white socks, padding up, doing the thing. They can look after themselves. But I'm interested in how we work together on the planet. That sounds so cheesy, doesn't it? But doing your bit in the small way. And for example, I'm born in a Muslim family, and yet that kind of Islam, where is that? Where is the Islam of sugar and azan, and where people were all together, you know? And so I don't know what to do, right? I am the gods. If I am drawn in religion to anything, it is the hymns, the bhajans. Not the bhajans, we call them ginans. And we were converted from, we were Hindus.
Yeah, so in Kutch.
So in Kutch, right? So it's Draupadi and all that. So those are the things that move me. Something that maybe a raga may not recognize, but it's there inside, you know. But I am how people worship, how people revere, how people care for their gods, rituals, that moves me.
And you also are drawn to what we call the Pehli Pauri from the Granth Sahib, Ikonkar, Satnam.
Yes, I just listen to that, and it doesn't matter to me if I don't understand. I don't understand life anyway, right? But just to listen again and again, or in Muscat where I work, the azan, it just grounds me. The day has measure. You know, the washing of the feet, the Pope's feet around Easter time, that calms me. Those sort of things.
So somewhere it really boils down to the resonance of the words.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
And isn't that
Jasleen,
what reflects? Isn't that what reflects so beautifully in all your writing?
Words make a difference. Even sometimes I get into fight, spats, right, with my mother, my friends, because of a wrong choice of word. Not dictionary words I'm talking about, but words do have, they bother me. You know, for example, we were in the taxi, and the person who drove me is driving me around here. He said, explaining to the guy the thing, Kaka left se morlo. So that is music to me. You know, everything comes in, the whole essence of a culture comes in.
So it's
there.
not the correction, the correctness of the word, but what it implies and how language grows with its own culture, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. I like that.
This brings me to your second book.
Women Dancing on Rooftops.
Okay, Women Dancing on Rooftops. Again, a very intriguing title. Isn't it?
Okay, this is pretty Indian. When going up to the chat, and women in the company of women, washing clothes, with the achar thing, you know, as Victoria Walker, a poet, said, there are pots and pans in a woman's piano. Yeah. So and then bring your belly close. Sometimes you want to talk to another woman. Even with a man, for example, you are serenaded and wooed, but like 30 years down the road, we kissed here, or we're here. I don't think so. You know? So it's women to women is a different kind of connection, right? Sister connection. And that's where sort of Okay, I've done. Someone is listening to me. Whereas I don't know. With men, the experience is different.
Different.
Yeah.
What is interesting in this book is that here's a book with an attitude where women are concerned, and there's an entire gamut. On the one hand, it's erotic, then there's a techno-savvy, and just gumption.
Yeah.
In the series of stories.
Yeah. I wrote this book again. People who are interested in creative writing, how a workshop helps you. This is a workshop book. So I took. I was cocky, very strangely confident, which I wouldn't do now. But you know, I had a teacher, Amai Drona, was saying, "Go to the end of the pool, and if you drown, I'm there." Until now, we talk about Guru Dakshina for him, so he always signs his books, "Give me your thumb," because but this is the freedom that I kind of put many genres together: short stories, documentary fiction, poetry, essays, and it all worked together. I don't know whether in this day and age where we're so free and yet we've become suddenly conservative in writing, right? I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I'd want to do that. I'd be a better craft maker this time around, but that was just being the ebullience of 24. You know.
Now, in that book, there is a lot of reference, as you mentioned, of India in particular. But when one speaks to you, you talk about yourself as the Westerner. So, do you somewhere feel connected with India?
I feel connected with India for sure. But you know, it's this thing. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? I am from Canada. No, but where are you from? No, I'm from Canada. This is who I am. Because I work towards it. It's not because of the blue passport. It is not because of having unearned domicile. Right? It is constant thinking. I'm a writer in my study room, but I'm also that is my real self outside. So I want to be called from Canada. You can give me many hyphens. And talking about hyphens, I think it's a lovely. Can I jump?
Of course.
Okay. You know, like I don't know much about America, but for example, you can be only Kutch - Canadian. All right, so that is really cold. It's like a pep test. Okay,
it is.
So Trinh Thi Minh Ha, a Vietnamese American writer, she said you can make it a heart.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So you move.
Right.
You. It's osmosis, and that packed with Trudeau's Canada, where he was our cool leader of the 70s, who said multiculturalism. You can't give up you will always have that Dali in you. Why have something else imposed on top? Why can't they just breathe? You don't have to abort either of the cultures. So going through this, why can't I be called Canadian? Call me Chonju Canadian, Chonjuite, call me Muscat Canadian, call me Delite Canadian. Okay, and I want that because we're all, it's really, if you look at it in a big, we're all connected, the global culture.
Yes, it is.
Right? So I want, okay, I'm Canadian, and I hate just taking from Canada, you know, and it's time to give back, and this is one of the ways I give back, through books, but I'm Canadian. And Western, okay, even don't forget Western, I'm a prairie girl.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the prettiest description.
Yeah,
so
I'm
far.
prairie.
Yes.
I'm prairie. Our philosophy is, your car is stuck in snow, 5 cars will come out.
Right.
I go to Mandi, and I buy market Mandi. I buy vegetables, and I think, oh, maybe Jasleen would like some bindi today. Go put it by your back door. You know, this is farm culture.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So when you write here, what you said is really beautiful about being a community and a time to give back to Canada. But I suppose on a universal level, it is about giving back to the world. Do you think like that when you write?
Yeah, that's a good, yeah, I would in the long run is to give back. This because I was asked a question that
Yeah.
way. But yes, no, it would be horrible, it would be impotent if I just stopped at Canada. My journey is global. My religion is global. Why bring in religion? But I feel fiercely about that, okay? Fiercely about that. And my students in Muscat, one leg can be in the Omani culture, one leg is out in the global culture.
So this writing process that starts for you, do you ever really think in terms of writing for the world, or your work might really change the way people think?
No.
You sound totally shocked.
No. I am not there. I don't want that responsibility.
Right.
I write from a very small place where I go with washed feet. Be it if I'm mad, I'm angry, it's a singing line, whatever the thing is. My job is to come to my study table and write. And write and write, and it can be whatever moves. I have to have discipline. I can't write just when a thought is there. And so every day I do lists. It can be a cup, it can be that sari that really appealed to me. Just write a little bit and then bringing things together. Okay, so they're really jumpy pieces. So many times my work is rejected because, golly, where is she coming from? But I think like that also in reality. But this time at a very good, and then I know that there is something, well, I don't know, no. I have these disparate pieces, but they connect. And sometimes a workshop will show me, sometimes a very good editor will show me, sometimes I discover for myself, and then it's easy to really start writing. And then you have the reader come in and the editor come in, and now it's sort of, but that space where I just sort of, I'm ideal, or what I call fratzing around, or puttering, or plotting, or plodding. This is my space where nothing happens and everything happens there.
So,
Right.
so this spontaneous burst of creativity, that is not the part, not a part of the way you write?
No, but I make it. I bring that. I have been writing for a long time, so to bring that energy in.
Right.
Now, as an editor, if I was teaching a workshop class, I would never say that to the writees. But that's what my job would be: is to kind of that catalyst, that fire, heating the heart of the matter. Yeah, and but like you told me about the global thing, so I just write from a small space, and if it moves out and touches reader to reader, that's where my work is. I don't want to change things. Yes, when something hurts me, for example, Westgate, the mall where, you know, they said, okay, oh, you're Muslim, out, go. I'm going to shoot you. I did write a poem. Okay, so yes, when I...
But that was in response to an event
response
rather
to,
than
yes.
To address the issue like that.
Yes, and I wish I could be clever enough. I'm not there. I'm very much an organic writer, still very private, still closed doors. I would love to be that big writer. Maybe that's not me. I don't think so.
I like what you said, what you just said, and you've said this often, that you approach writing with washed feet.
Yes.
You're very reverent towards what you
Yes,
write, and words,
yes.
you're very reverent towards
Right.
the words.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like entering the mosque or a temple. It's even in classroom, when I enter the classroom, it's washed feet.
Yeah, it's hallowed ground.
Yeah, it's hallowed ground.
Right.
And I want to be able to do everything with washed feet, if I can, down the road, in any relationship, in any act that I'm a part of, if I can. If I can.
Now, you're obviously not a writer in a hurry, because Blue Sunflower Startle took 11 years in the making.
Yeah, Jasleen, 11 years. And then rejection, but I knew there was something in it. I knew, and it was not as dancey as women dancing, because there it was like, okay, you know, a bit of showing off. There was that. This was not it. And then a very good, then I wrote a good letter. So for people who are writing, sometimes a very good covering letter from your heart. And it took me 2 months to write that letter. And I wrote and I said, exactly, this is what my book is about. I'm not sending the manuscript because I'm just tired of it. And she wrote me back, and I was in Goa, and she said, yes, we accept it. And then she just killed me, like editing. And I have no ego when it comes to editing. Oh, but this is nice. It's nice. Well, rewrite it the other way.
Right.
Do it this way. So she gave me this word that I look in the dictionary even till today don't understand: trajectory.
Oh.
Yeah, she gave me the muscle, the trajectory, and so I needed that discipline, and she would bring it. She knew, so that she knew exactly what I was writing, and we talked about the good editor knows the writer already, and we hadn't met. I was working out of Muscat, she out of Calgary, and yet it's workable.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is intriguing, the word trajectory. We'll talk
Yeah.
a little bit more about it, but first a short break.
Sure.
We'll be right back. We are talking to Yasmin Ladha about her books and the process of writing.
I think so, yeah.
Yasmin, this is interesting. You know, you have an editor who talks about the trajectory, which I suppose loosely means the plot,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yes.
Now, for a writer who's sensitive, for whom writing is hallowed, you know, you kind of meander, and then suddenly, you know, there is the cold sword of the editor. Is it easy to cope with that?
Sure. And a writing workshop teaches you that.
Right.
And I remember my writing teacher coming in, Aretha Van Herk, a Canadianist.
Right.
I call her a Canadianist. And she came stomping in, and she's got one brown eye, one green eye. There is nothing but life and sex, and we're all like, ooh, okay,
Really?
you know. But that's the thing of it, and we couldn't talk about publishing. We talked about this is nice. No, nothing is nice. So you're only sober. You're sober, and you really learn to respect the work, other criticism given to you, and by the time Robin came. She knew. The thing was, she knew what I wanted to do. That was the beauty. So we divided the book into entrance, which is really the African part, and the exits, the redepartures.
Right.
So sometimes it's just in the way she reorganized it,
Right.
and where I was being self-indulgent. Those pieces I had to work through.
So as a writer, you don't really follow this discipline of either poetry or fiction or beginnings, middles, ends. None of the formulae when you're in the process of writing.
Right.
So this you leave to the editor.
No. I have everything ready, but the editor comes and does the muscle work.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would never give my book to someone, but she knew exactly what shape to bring it in.
yeah.
Like the hairstylist, the hair is there, the mane is there, but the hairstylist just knows. And she did that, and there were very few disagreements. And I would tell people who go to writing schools, I don't know now, I haven't been to writing school for 15, 16, 17 years. Things have changed, teachers have changed. I had the Drona kind of teachers. I don't know, now everybody knows, but this is what I want to write. And I didn't have that attitude, and certainly I was willing to take in things.
And you think that is important really to be able to take in things, especially for the budding writers today.
Yes.
You think that
For
it is
sure.
somewhere important to attend workshops, writing workshops?
Yes, but writing workshops, I was really privileged.
Right.
I was lucky, and for Aretha's class I was a shoo-in. She didn't accept me. I went to her and she says, oh, you're in Fred's class, you're the poet. I'd already published, and she said, write me 7 more pages, let me see. And I worked hard on my 7 pages, and I've been working hard on my 7 pages, so I'm a good learner. In that way I'm an immigrant, right, resilient, won't let go, you know. And yes, even for, I think, right now I'm working with Sukrita Paul on this joint project, a poetry project. And certainly when we're going to be together, Sukrita and I'll be each other's editors. I don't know if we'll be lucky to get an outside editor, because it's a thankless job.
And you call it I write?
This one is just how I write.
Right.
Right. I don't say I'm a writer, then I'm really frozen.
Right.
Like, I'm a writer, so I think, you know, smoker and very an articulate person, trembling, every little jitter. I write. I
So
write.
so you make that distinction between the verb and
Yes, because that's the space, the raw space of not mistakes, but of genuine ping moments, right? You think, aha, that's the startle, and that's the part we enjoy.
That's right.
Yeah. And then the second part is you think, okay, I'm getting some, I can see muscle formation, and that's when the editor comes in, where the writer comes in. You think, okay, I'm writing for you, Jasleen. This is for you.
So have you kind of progressed to writing like this? When you wrote your first poetry,
Yes.
you wrote The Lion's Granddaughter.
Granddaughter and other stories.
Yes. Do you think somewhere you evolved as a writer?
Definitely. Each writer, Lion's Granddaughter, I was like, okay, you have to take, we want your book, okay, you know, I do what I was told, and that was very good. I think it could have been a better edited job. The second one, I was full of myself, but there are the energy and the impudence, the haughtiness, the arrogance, and yet there is the raw thing hasn't, there's less gloss in there. So in that way, I think the book is strong. And it's actually a writer's book.
Okay.
And then this third book is where I've seasoned. I, for the first time, got a great editor. I had come to a certain place in writing. I knew I couldn't get away. If I was going to write about a new word, I had to make it familiarly foreign to my reader. I began to focus on the domestic reality, whatever that was, instead of going into lovers and stuff. Or being esoteric. I hate that word. But, you know, just the grittiness of daily living. And I don't like that grittiness. And that is also part of home. And so how do I make a home that doesn't have that grit? And yet the essence is there, that the writer who lives in Gurgaon, who lives in central Delhi, can understand that, who lives in Calgary, in Arborwood Crescent can understand, and also trying to make it global. These things, I think they'll get better and better. I hope they do, as I salt as a writer in my craft.
So with this third book, Blue Sunflower, Startle,
Yeah.
now this is a novel. You call it a novel.
I call it a novel.
Right.
Right, but I have been like, why can't it be a memoir? You know, so the grandfather is not my grandfather,
Right.
right? But what happens is the woman, the French woman, the tall French woman, was there, but I kind of unpack, make stories out of that. So it's not a memoir. And my mother is a very active woman. She's not like that cowed widow. The grandmother in here kind of held the house together because of this raw grandfather. And when she went to Canada, it was renunciation from him. That's not, so it's really hard for, and I wish readers would become sophisticated. If I say it's a memoir, it's a memoir. But this is how I write, right?
It's interesting to read it aloud, isn't it? It's one
For
of
me
those
it
books,
is.
yes. The words that
Yes.
just come to life when you
Yes.
read them. So why don't you read something for us?
I'd love to. I'd love to.
That would be
That
fantastic.
is my favorite part.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, this is between the lover, the prairie lover, and how they are totally different. And she doesn't want to come with that ball, you know. Please give me food, and she wants a relationship. And she's talking to the prairie lover. I say sunflowers you say spits. I say barn dance, you say barn up. May I decorate your lunchbox? This way lay a soft claim on you at the barn dance. From a lonely spot in a corridor, I watch your never-locked hospitality of "come on over." You so back pocket casual, your grand blue-bin sky and your kettle brands. My love, when will I be branded flannel? When will you tip my chin, ask me to dance? I show you off in Delhi, a city of French kisses. Delhi does not know I have not smelled the wood of hockey sticks, but I tell them stories of a lover, cocky as Trudeau, his purple liver pulsing for me. This is you, my prairies, and Delhi is moony for you and asks, when will that Bola Strata come to fetch you? Come to Delhi with red coals in your eyes for your blue garter claim. Come for the sake of others. They're watching me in Delhi. Come for the sake of decorum.
That's beautiful. That's
Thank you.
beautiful. So Delhi has grown on you.
Delhi, definitely, definitely.
And what is the bit of snow from Canada that you carry here in your heart?
A bit of still RCMP. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Alberta horse.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. This is kitsch. This is from a true artist.
So you do carry a bit of Canada all the time, everywhere.
I seem to be doing it more. I seem to be doing it more. And in Muscat, all the Canadians, especially prairie people, the Grand Central Station is my house.
One last question.
Sure.
For a writer, is it easy to be a teacher?
That's the only thing I could do, or be a secretary. And I used to be a secretary when I was working on Lion's granddaughter before I got a very fat, luscious scholarship. Yeah, but I would love to be able to write if I have that. If I have that space and money to be able to, but I juggle the two. This time, for example, 2 weeks in Delhi is just my time to write, and it's first in a long time that I've done that. Otherwise, my writing time is in the evenings. Less so in the evenings. I get very tired now. But on the weekends, holidays, all my holidays, that's what I do. And I could ask for grants, but I earn enough money in Muscat. So I think perhaps a more deserving writer in that sense. And I got a beautiful grant one time. So these are the things I work with. But yes, as I grow older, I feel I have enough to write, and I would like just time to write. But I don't resent it. You remember how many people, Monica, Ali, Brooke, Carol Shields, they all wrote when their babies were napping. So in that way, I'm very much the prairie girl, right? Like stiff upper lip. No, this is what your choice is, and you do it. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful way to write, Yasmin.
Thank you.
On weekends and a time that you can just cull out of your daily life.
Yes.
Well, I hope you do a lot more writing.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you again in our studios soon sometime.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Truly.
It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.